With the EMTB community and the market growing, Dillinger have added a new model called the Vermilion, but with a little twist. It's a dual-use hybrid for street and off-road riding, much like their Dillinger Hunter. While the Vermilion is not the successor to the Hunter, it's kind of like its cooler cousin? Well, let's just see how cool this cousin is. The e-bike comes in a two-toned gloss finish of white and grey with hints of red on the battery, wheels and downtube, to complement the Vermilion name of course. With such a name, I was expecting a little bit more red on the bike, kinda like this. As you can see, I have professional Photoshop skills, someone hire me. Looking under the downtube is the Vermilion decal, alongside the controller. Now this is a fairly visible controller that does affect the stealthiness of the e-bike, so if you're looking for something stealthy, then you might want to check it out in real life and see if the controller bothers you or not. Moving on, the alloy frame is only offered in a large, with a 50cm C-tube length. The frame itself presents the usual cross-country geometry with a steeper head angle and a single pivot linkage for the full suspension setup. Component-wise, the Vermilion is fitted with the entry-level mountain bike components. In similar fashion to the Hunter, it's equipped with the rear and front derailleurs, shifters and a crankset from the Shimano Dior group. Now, I'm unsure about the cassette and the chain, but I'm sure they're from the Dior group as well. Something that separates the Vermilion to the Hunter though is the 3-speed front crankset, giving a 3x10 drivetrain. The cassette is 11 to 34 teeth, while the chain rings are 24, 32 and 42 teeth. The hydraulic brakes are supplied by the Tektro Dorado line, specifically the E710 model, which I've tested many times before. They get the job done, and with the 180mm rotors, they perform decently considering the market they're aiming for, and they're also e-bike friendly with motor cutoff sensors. And as usual, here's a brake test with the Vermilion. The lithium-ion battery is 48 volts with a capacity of 11 amp hours. It's a semi-inbuilt juice pack that shares half of its physical dimensions outside of the downtube and half inside. 11 amp hours is a little below the average for electric bikes around this price range. I'm seeing more companies push for 12 to 14 amp hours. However, in saying that, most e-bikes in this price range are using a 36 volt battery. What's interesting though is that it's claimed that the Vermilion can reach a maximum range of 100 kilometers. Now, I guess this could be explained by their custom Sonosauter wave controller. They must have conducted some research and tuning for amazing battery saving during use, as most e-bikes with this capacity can only achieve a maximum range of 80 kilometers, and that's with a 36 volt battery. But like always, with anything to do with range surrounding electric bikes, it should be taken with a grain of salt. The average range that's claimed is 40 kilometers and seems to be a more appropriate and more on par with typical figures, which I recommend going with. On the rear wheel, you find a capable 1500 watt Bafang geared hub motor. It's from the BF-RM series and can be tuned by the switcheroo to only output a maximum of 250 watts. And of course, this makes it street legal. According to Dillinger, by limiting the motor to 250 watts, the bike is street compliant for street use. Any issues with the law, and you can show them by plugging in the switcheroo that it's only outputting a maximum of 250 watts. This add-on is handy as it allows you to commute during the weekdays and ride with a 1000 watt tune on the weekend. You can add the switcheroo to your Vermilion for an extra $149. The wheels are OEM customs from Dillinger that are wrapped in Maxxis Ardents front and rear. 27.5 inch by 2.25 is what you'll find, which is the typical width for a cross-country style and commuter style mountain bike. However, I am surprised they didn't opt for 29ers since the Hunter off-road is a 26er. I thought they would have added something different for more range, and I think the 29ers would have benefited this bike a little bit more. Nevertheless, the 650B wheel option is a popular one which many riders are comfortable with regardless of experience. Onto the handlebars, the same LCD and thumb controller found on the Hunter is used on the Vermilion. This combination works for the Hunter and hasn't changed for the Vermilion, so I'll just say the same thing, it works. You can't really go wrong with a simple LCD and thumb controller. However, with brands now, they are utilizing smartphone apps to get more data out of their system and add more versatility and settings to cater to the rider, which this bike doesn't offer. The fork and the rear shock are from D&M. The rear is featuring an AOY36RC with rebound adjustments and lockout, while the front forks boast of the D&M RC32 burner with rebound adjustments and lockout as well. Travel for the front is 100mm while it's unknown for the rear. I'm guessing it's somewhere between 80 to 100mm, which is the typical range for XC style bike. If that isn't plush enough for you, the suspension featuring seat posts can also help cushion your rides a bit too. On-road, the bike does feel a little too plush, but the lockout rear shocks and forks do help. The bike does handle well with the tyres providing plenty of grip. reached speeds up to 32 km per hour, however this is where I wish the Vermilion was a 29er. Although riding on the asphalt is great, a more serious commuter would have loved a 29er for more speed. Now there is one issue that I found while riding the Vermilion off-road and on-road, and it's the interference with the bike stand. If you have big feet, I'd say a size 10 or above, you're going to have some issues with clipping the bike stand as you pedal. I only see two options to fix this solution, which is to either remove it or change it for a different design, a more slimline one. From my rides, one thing I gathered from the Vermilion is that it's very smooth, much like the Aklo A kit, which also used a sinusoidal controller. Changing the pass level had an even acceleration to speed, even from standstill and when on maximum pedal assistance, which the bike had 9 of. The bike carried you to speed like you're on a cloud. The brakes were also good, and like I've mentioned in many of the bike reviews where the Tektro Dorados are involved, they work and they're decent. It's e-bike friendly and they're consistent with its hydraulic performance. I will say though that these are more of a 2-finger grip design, and I personally prefer one, which I tried to do on these but they feel a little bit funny, so that's just something to note. Using the bike was easy, and just like any other Dillinger bike, you have a thumb controller which allows you to select pedal assistance, turn on and off the bike, and also activate the takeoff assistance. The LCD display meter shows you the speed, trip, and odometer, and is backlit, which is turned on by holding the plus button on the thumb controller. The switcheroonie was simple to use as well. Although a little bulky, the tuning device can easily fit in your backpack and tune your bike on the fly. Here's a little tutorial on how to use it. Alright guys, I'll show you how to use the Dillinger switcheroonie. It's pretty simple, so we turn it on by just holding that for 3 seconds, and then the loading screen will come up. Yep, and then connect mode. Don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah. So we got to connect it to the controller, which we connect via the 4-to-1. So if you see here, this is a green cable, green port. So we've got to find that as well, and that should be the LCD meter. So if we follow this LCD meter, the cable for that, and it should be this one. And then if we unplug it, it should be green. Awesome. So that's that one. So plug it in. Now these are directional, so if it's not fitting properly, just make sure that you've got the arrows lined up, and then just gently put it in. It should fit. So once we've plugged that in, you turn on your switcheroonie again, holding this for 3 seconds. Oh, holding this for 3 seconds. Yep, loading screen comes on. Connect mode, yes. It's telling us it's a 30 amp controller. It's going to tell us active mode. So it's in the 1000 watt mode. So I've actually changed this. From factory, it actually comes as a 750 watt mode. So let's change this into a street legal mode. So yeah, we want that one. So I'll show you the other options. Or 750, 1000. Yeah, so we'll go back to 250. Upload to program. Program complete. OTK to eject. So we just unplug it, this automatically turns off, and then we re-plug the LCD meter down to the 4-to-1, making sure that the arrows are aligned as well. And that's simply it. So now it's street legal and ready to ride on the roads. This is a dual use bike, so I think it'd be great to elaborate my experiences of the bike on road and off road. My testing of the Vermilion off-road was done on a gravel surface with a bit of sand here and there. We can all agree that the brake test on the gravel was worse than on-road, as expected because of the tyres, which leads me into the issues I had with this bike. Although 2.25 inch wide tyres are the usual size for cross-country bikes, I feel as if it wasn't adequate enough for this e-bike, or just e-bikes in general, regardless if it's trail or cross-country. I sometimes found myself losing grip, where the bike ran wide, kind of like understeering. I would love to change the tyres to something a little bit more aggressive like the Schwalbe Hans Dampf or the Nobby Nix at a 2.35 size, but I guess that would adhere the commuting experience. With that being said, the center of gravity was low, and the bike felt nimbler than front hub drive setups. I think a rear hub motor with the same power but smaller footprint would have greatly improved the handling and reduced the understeer of the bike. In conclusion, the Vermilion attempts to blend two worlds together and tries to kill two birds with one stone. And it does achieve that, sort of, with some compromises on both ends. The Dillinger Hunter is a more powerful model and it also features the dual use function, however felt more like an off-road machine. The Vermilion is a more civilized version, that is more in the middle of the off-road and commuter categories. While on-road it performs well, the smaller 650B wheels hold it back a bit and the tyres aren't as rolling friendly. On the other hand, the tyres aren't aggressive enough on the trails to grip, which leads to some understeering. Aside from those issues and maybe the controller and also the bike stand, the bike performs pretty well. The motor is plentiful and the controller truly regulates the output to be as smooth as Tinder pickup lines. It's just that there are compromises, and this is just something that you have to be well aware of when you own a hybrid. It's difficult for any company to make the perfect dual-use bike, but for Dillinger to offer such an option is a blessing for some people, because they don't want a bike for commuting and a bike for off-road. How would they explain that to their wives or husbands? So that wraps up the review. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure to check out the full review on our website ebikingnow.com. If you like what you saw, please give us a thumbs up. Also, if you have any comments or questions, drop them down below. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date with the latest. And don't forget to turn on, hop on, and ride on. Peace out.